GM, GM. So, a little bit of advice here for you trading through a bull market. The first thing is you really need to become comfortable with switching back into majors and taking drawdown, right? The goal, and look, I don't know how, this is probably one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give to anybody. So I really mean this. Trying to go back into cash every time you're bearish or every time you think there's a pullback is probably a losing game, because every time you go back into cash, you adopt subconsciously an anti crypto mindset. And your brain is not special. Your brain is just as fallible as everyone else's. And if you go back to cash, you're going to want the market to go down. You're going to look for opportunities to go short or to not get back in. Whereas if you just say, look, my default for the next year is I'm in majors, whichever that may be for you, Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, or I'm in more risky altcoins when I think the outperformance is coming, the alt seasons, the mini seasons, right? And that means that when you go back from alts into Bitcoin or Solana or ETH, you might take a 20% drawdown, but your alt will go down 30, 40, 50, and you have won. You've done exactly what you're supposed to do. And guess what? When it comes time to rally, your Bitcoin, ETH, Solana will go back to break even very quickly, and your alt would still be down 30, 20, 15%. It's outperformance. You have to understand this. If you're here and you think that fucking fiat is dog shit trash that they're printing out of existence, and the only way to get rich is to hold assets for a long time, then you have to be able to eat some volatility, right? No, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want, but this is just how I approach it. This is what has served me well through bull markets, and it's the complete opposite of a bear market. So it takes a lot of adjustment, because in a bear market, 100%, if you're switching into altcoins or into Bitcoin or whatever, you're only doing it for a bear market rally, a counter trend bounce, right? You're playing 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 9 weeks of a quick, counter trend rally, but then you want to get back into cash. So this is the complete opposite. And the people who adapt fastest are the ones who make the most money. You have to think of this. You have to think of it this way. You can either wait until you are comfortable to hold crypto, or you can hold crypto when the time is right. You do not want to feel comfortable. You have to get over this feeling. You must feel discomfort. If you feel discomfort in your trade, that is a good thing. If you feel pain, that's a bad thing. If you feel pain, that means you're over leveraged, you've got too much size, you're taking too much risk. But if you go back, and what I'm showing on the screen is from this here is the exact moment I sold my Pepe coin and my multi-bit and moved it back into Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, right? And I still have some Mubi and some Pepe coin, but I sold a decent amount of them, 2/3, 70% or so. And this is the performance since then. So you want to track this. Actually show it, like visualize it. This is just a spaghetti chart, right? Where you put one on the screen, you put Ethereum up just as a chart, you put it onto a line chart, and you go to compare. You compare all the coins you want to compare. And compare them by this same percentage scale. That will show them all like this, and then scale it to your time. This is the time I sold them, Thursday afternoon. Since that time, Solana has performed best. So even though this morning Solana is down a bit, it's down at 101, but since I swapped my money into Solana, Solana has outperformed Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it's outperformed multi-bit by 7.8%. It's outperformed Pepe coin by almost 15, almost 16%. Right? So that's huge relative outperformance. So even though my portfolio is down ever so slightly in nominal terms because Bitcoin and Ethereum are down since that day, I'm down so much less. I could be down 15% more on my Pepe coin holdings and 7.8% more on my multi-bit. Now, the flip side of that is I could wake up tomorrow and Pepe coin could be up 30%. That's the volatility you're trading, right? But if you believe, like I do, that the alt season is temporarily, it's over for now. I think it needs to cool off for a few weeks, and that majors should lead again if we're going to be bullish. Then this is what you do, right? But you want to keep it really, really, really simple. You don't want to overcomplicate it, and that is why. And please don't use three coin. I only have Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana because I have Bitcoin long term. I have ETH for outperformance short term, and I think again Solana can outperform. And I don't know which one's going to do better out of ETH and Solana. So I hold them both right now, but I'll probably flip into just one of them in January if I see a winner. But if you're talking about just the rest of the cycle for the next year, 2 years, whatever, if you just say, and a good here's another thing, a good measure for this is it's good to do this until all time highs. So I'll keep it even more simple for you. It's good to do this until all time highs, right? So until all time high, it's safe in air quotes. I think it's safe to hold your portfolio denominated in ETH or Bitcoin. Solana's newer. I don't know. Like I've never done Solana as a portfolio construction. I might. I don't know. But I'm still. For me, it's Bitcoin, right? And so, as long as Bitcoin's below 70K, every time you are finished with your alts trading, right? This doesn't include stuff like AKT. I do not swap my Akash back to Bitcoin. I leave my Akash because it's a different trade. It's a longer term play. It's a bigger play, right? But I have 20, 30, 40% of my total capital that's not long-term Bitcoin, that's not long-term AKT, right? Probably got 60% between BTC and AKT that are just, I'm not going to touch it for the cycle, pretty much, until I feel like it's done. But I have other cash that can be in Bitcoin or in Ethereum or in Solana or in Multibit or in Pepe Coin or in some shitcoin, right? That's all very flexible. That's stuff that I will trade actively. I will change it around every few days or weeks, depending on positions, right? With that portion of my capital, as long as Bitcoin is below all time high, that will always be in either Bitcoin or in the alt. After all time high, it'll probably be in the alt or in USDT cash. Because just after that point, the upside potential on Bitcoin is more limited. We might go to 200K, I don't know, but it's better. I'll still have my longer term Bitcoin bags, but it's better, in my opinion, to then start flipping between cash and dollars, cash and alt, sorry, because you never know when it's fully over and you take a 20% drop and prices never come back, right? So simple heuristic. Forget Solana, ETH, and Bitcoin. That's just what I'm doing right now. Forget that. If you want to do this for the bull market, then just look at it this way, right? If you've got 100%, right? If you've got 10 grand and you've got 80% of it in Bitcoin and an altcoin for long term, that's totally separate. That's like those are your spot holdings, which everyone should have. And I know a lot of people say this. If you're in boot camp, it doesn't mean you can't have spot holdings. Trading and investing are different. You can 100% have your money in spot, right? You don't have to wait until Blue Belt to buy spot Bitcoin or whatever. You can do whatever you feel like. You can look at Adam's signals if you want to see his view on the market. You can just buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, or whatever coin that you're interested in, that you've done your research on. And if you want to do research on altcoins and you like an altcoin, then do that, sure. But there's a 10 to 20% portion of your portfolio that you will actively trade with. That's the part that if you're in white belt or blue belt, you should keep that as cash right now. Or as BTC when you're just waiting, right? You're just waiting for it to be held. Again, that's up to you. I can't tell you what to do. It's just my opinion would be I would keep it in Bitcoin until I'm ready to trade, and then I would convert it, right? But if you've got that 80-20 split or whatever, 90-10, whatever you want to do, it's that 10 to 20% is what you actively trade with. The rest of your money should be put, or at least what I do, is put in coins that are going to go up over time because we're in a bull market and the coins are going to rise. You just let them rise, right? Very simple. So that's the 20% for me. And this is what we're talking about here. It's that 20% that when it comes to trading, the view should be, okay, am I in BTC or have I got a nice swing trading setup on Pepe and it's come back and it's retesting the bands and it's doing an under over, whatever your system says, and you think that Pepe is set for probably 2, 3, 4 weeks of outperformance against BTC, and therefore I'm going to get into Pepe. And then I'm going to flip my 10% of my trading portfolio or whatever into Pepe outside of BTC with an invalidation, of course, with the stop loss, etc. And the reason for that is if you just look at any of these, right? If you look at Pepe to Bitcoin, which probably can't even see it correctly here. And we'll do this one here instead. You can do, like, you should, everyone should do this. Should keep an eye on the spot pairs, right? And not spot, sorry, the Bitcoin pairs, or whatever your denominator is. And then just look at this and be like, okay, well, since it basically, obviously you're gonna look at this and think, oh, this looks like the USD pair. Yeah, pretty much. If the correlation of Pepe and Bitcoin is quite close, it'll look the same, but it's not the same. There is meaningful differences, and there can be edge to be found here. So if you're looking at Pepe historically since it launched, if you forget the pump, right, from the first sell-off, Pepe outperformed Bitcoin for 13 days, right? Then it outperformed Bitcoin for 7 days. Then it outperformed Bitcoin. I'll ignore that because it was not much of a move. Then it outperformed Bitcoin for 6 days. So since May, Pepe has outperformed Bitcoin for a total of 2, 3, 4 weeks. Right? So what's that? 7 months, 4 weeks. So basically 1 month out of the last 7 or 8 months should you have held Pepe over BTC. Do you now understand why I say that altcoins are not, they're not long-term holds like this? Your job as a trader is to, and again, I'm speaking to traders here. Of course, if you are busy and you're doing other things and you want to have a part of your portfolio that's in an altcoin because it was higher beta and when it runs, it'll run hard, then sure. If you're not checking the charts every day. But if you're someone who trades on anything lower than a monthly basis, right? So if you trade 1 week, 2 week, 3 week swing trades, then you have to be looking at this because your job is to find the period, not for certain, but with high probability, where you think Pepe is going to outperform BTC, right? But also understanding, and this is why this is so important, go and backtest all alts, understanding that they do not outperform Bitcoin for a long time until we get into a full bull and you get a major like Solana, which then does go on a significant run against Bitcoin. But again,